Sonic is commonly known for being the face of Sega, an iconic character and a staple of the gaming industry. It's believed that Sonic's first in-game appearance was in his first game, which happened to include his first in-game appearance, which was in the 1997 hit game Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This classic game features a classic cast of classic characters, such as Classic Sonic, Classic Yellow Sonic, Classic Egg, Classic Gold Ring, and Rabbit. This classic game tells the story of two friends, Sonic the Hedgehog and Tails, the Yellow Hedgehog, and their journey to retrieve the crazy emeralds from the mad scientist Dr. Egg. This isn't just a point A to point B game, however. This game contains numerous splendiferous levels and mechanics, featuring amazing worlds such as Green Hill Zone and Greener Hill Zone, and even the ability to turn left on such needed occasions. Though Sonic is given these unparalleled characteristics in the classic game, his classic villain isn't an easy challenge for him to classically overcome. Dr. Egg, known for his ability to beat the shit out of animals that can run, and for committing crimes that I can't say here or I get demonetized and publicly castrated, was the main villain of the classic game Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Though this game wasn't his first appearance, as he was the main villain of the original Sonic game as well, but this was his last in-game appearance due to his relations to the war that was active around this time. All of this information is commonly known among the Sonic fandom, but what most of these degenerates don't realize is that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 isn't actually the first Sonic game. What most of the Sonic community doesn't know is that there was a Sonic game decades before in 1996. The infamous Sonic game, Sonic & Knuckles, was the true first game of this hit franchise. But the reason that people don't know this information today is what I aim to reveal to you all, not just in this game, but why the people of the world weren't ready to hear about it until now.
Sonic & Knuckles is an underrated classic about Sonic and his pair of brass knuckles that he uses to harass innocent bystanders on his local neighborhood street. This game should have been what started his ambitious career as a video game icon, but why wasn't this game able to reach the same great status as other Sega games, such as Fantasia, Slaughtersport, and Balls? Well, shortly into the game's development, it quickly faced one of what will turn out to be many drawbacks within the game's production. At first, the development of Sonic & Knuckles went just like any other game would, until tragedy struck when news broke that Tails was gunned down at a Target parking lot. Nearby security camera footage was able to give us some audio of the event.
Hey guys, it's me, Tails, from the hit game Tails Adventure for the Sega Game Gear.
This, of course, left the rest of the cast of the game struck with grief. When asked about the topic in a 2017 interview with Sonic, he was quoted saying,
"Damn, that's crazy."
Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Tails' side of the story as he was unavailable for questioning at this time. We did, however, get a lot of other quotes from Sonic regarding the situation, such as,
"I think he owed me money."
And of course,
"Oh shit, you mean the yellow one?"
Without one of the main co-stars of the game, Sega was left with very few options. They could either scrap the game entirely, leave that role empty, or find someone new to replace the former co-star. Luckily, one of the numerous homeless people that lived outside of Sega's headquarters at that time was willing to dress up as some red hedgehog furry thing and finally show the world what we now know as Knuckles today. With the cast of the game finally being complete, it seemed like things were actually going back on track. Progress was being done on the game, some background sets were designed, and new lines of code were being written. But it didn't take long for more roadblocks to hit the developers of the up-and-coming game, as the co-stars started having their own personal feuds. On one night in particular, after Sonic and Knuckles had just completed Carnival Night Zone 2, Knuckles may have went too far as his past gambling addictions began to resurface. What many people don't know about Knuckles is that he had been struggling for years with debt that he had built up, putting his house on a 5th, 6th, and even 7th mortgage to gamble on, but only to lose all of that money, which soon led to him getting bankrupt, which is of course what ended up being the main cause of his divorce. Sonic, being worried about his friend, tried to reach out to Knuckles after they completed the Carnival Night Zone levels. However, Knuckles never fully mentally recovered from his addictions, so he lashed out at Sonic. So he started playing clips of the opening scene to the hit film Saving Private Ryan. You see, Knuckles knew about Sonic's past as well. That of course being when Sonic served in the Vietnam War. Back in 1976, Sonic went through countless hours of therapy over the course of several years. Despite this, he was never fully able to erase from his mind what he had seen in battle. Sonic began to frantically panic. In an instant, he began having war flashbacks, as if he was back on the battlefield in 1976, all those years ago. That being said, we are a dedicated group that ensures that we get the first look coverage of current events, so we made sure to get this information via another interview with Sonic as the event was happening.
So, How did this make you feel? To this day, we haven't gotten a clear answer from him.
Despite the drama within the main cast, however, this game continued in production. The company had spent roughly $40,000 on this game, which is worth over $40,000 in today's money. So at this point, the company really had no choice but to finish the game.
We were actually able to get a few designers from Screw to answer some questions for us as a third-party perspective of the set at this time.
On occasions, Sonic would mumble something about trees, I guess. But we're never really sure what he meant. I mean, my only role on set was to pass out muffins. I really don't even know why I was interviewed for this. It's honestly all I did.
There was a lot of pressure on the game director behind the scenes to make sure that everything felt more realistic. We weren't sure how the characters should react when they took damage, so we just took real-life hedgehogs and started throwing them at walls to see what would happen. PETA was really up our asses about that one.
About 6 months into the project, we really started to go over budget. Whenever we had Sonic go supersonic, it was actually just one of his stunt doubles, encased in liquid gold. And then, once the gold solidified, the stunt double's lungs would get filled with the gold, choking them from the inside. It took about 6 or 7 stunt doubles before we realized that we might be doing something wrong here.
We were going to go further into the history of the set with the people we had just previously interviewed, but miraculously, every single one of them had gone missing or presumed dead. When questioned about this subject, one of Eggman's employees was quoted saying, "I've been dreaming about pounding his sorry blue butt." This had nothing to do with what we asked, but he really said this. You can look it up. I'm not joking. He chose to say this. I'm not sure why.
It was previously mentioned that the people behind this game wanted it to feel more realistic, so when it came to deciding who should play Eggman, most of the casting team wanted a regular mustached old man. Except for the head of the casting team, who wanted his villain to be played by an actual villain, but not just any villain, a dictator that helped lead Russia in the Cold War. A fact that is deeply hidden in the history books is that Dr. Eggman was one of the most powerful people in Russia during the Cold War, with him having countless meetings with then leader Joseph Stalin. It's believed that these two helped plan strategic attacks within the Korean and Vietnam War, helped run the country together, and even had a secret love child together. Publicly, the pair claimed to just be roommates, however, one of our team members was able to find a few love letters sent between the two.
Yearn for you, your power, your energy, your emotion, your mustache.
My love for you knows no bounds, for it could heat up even in the coldest of wars.
I hate that stupid hedgehog fuck!
Though Eggman still doesn't publicly acknowledge his child, even weirder, he doesn't even acknowledge his relations to Stalin or the war, but he does acknowledge the crimes that he had previously committed, such as treason, battery, assault, murder, jaywalking, which somehow only added to his appeal, helping him land his first role in the franchise. Despite this, Eggman was well liked among most of the cast on set. All things considered, most of the animals didn't like him, but a lot of the humans in the crew did. One even almost became the godparent of his child, which was really hard to have put in place when Eggman was still trying to convince everyone that the kid did not exist, but still needed another parent or guardian at the same time.
Look, I'm not.
I don't understand.
I'm not saying he's real. I'm just implying, hypothetically, if he was, would you be willing to do it?
Can I see the child?
What child?
Alright, buddy.
While the game began to go further into development, the feud between Sonic and Knuckles somehow continued to worsen. As the game was nearing the end of production, at first the drama only stayed on set, but somehow Knuckles was able to find Sonic's personal home address. Soon after, he broke in, tore off one of those mattress tags that says "Do not remove," and then left. One of Sonic's neighbors witnessed the crime and was able to go over what occurred in a separate interview.
I don't think he ever realized that breaking into Sonic's house was a crime. The police showed up pretty soon after he broke in, but I think that Knuckles thought he was only getting arrested for ripping off a mattress tag? Or something?
I'll be back! You think your mattress is safe? Not if I'm here!
Sir, we're gonna need you to calm down.
I'll be back here! You get another mattress one day, and I'll get that tag too! It'll never be safe!
Look out, he's got a knife.
I think those were just spikes on his fist.
Aw, shit, my bad.
Knuckles was shot 27 times that day. Production had to immediately be put on hold. Not many people chose to go to his funeral, but he had one final request for those who did. Knuckles asked to be buried with a mattress tag that he stole from Sonic. We're not exactly sure why he asked this or even when he asked this. Like, he couldn't have asked it while he was getting shot, obviously, but it's not like he would have known he was going to get shot, but whatever. We may never know what he was thinking that day, but that was the last we have ever heard from him. After the death of yet another co-star, we once again asked Sonic about the situation. His exact words were, "Murder is bad, it disappoints your friends and the Constitution." I think he thought it was a public service announcement or something. The set of Sonic and Knuckles had to be put on pause until they were able to find a new actor for Knuckles. So within about 20 minutes, things started to go back on track. Unfortunately, by this point, most of the homeless people outside of Sega's headquarters had actually gotten jobs just before this event played out. So they just decided to find some Hedgehog in the woods and paint it red.
When asked about the new casting, the director stated,
Look, I know he's technically an echidna or something, but who actually cares?
By this point, the game was promised to release within the fiscal year, but with only roughly 70% of the game completed and the crew only having a couple months left, they were really in crunch time. The crew was already feeling really overworked, so to save time in production, the team decided to cut some corners. They decided to reuse a few assets that were shown previously in the game.
At a certain point, we really just wanted this game to be done. We needed to finalize 2 more of the worlds. We soon realized that we weren't going to be able to finish 2 fully and unique worlds. So I ended up just copying Green Hill Zone into World 6 and 7. Most of our target audience can't even read yet, so we honestly thought they wouldn't even notice.
Once the developers learned to stop caring, the development of the game was able to wrap up pretty quick, which meant that the only thing Sega had to worry about now was how to market the game, which might seem simple enough, but this ended up being the worst event of the game's production.
We wanted to include something special that would be packed in with the game. One person suggested that we have our own version of Sonic's blue glowing quills and put that in. What we didn't realize is that the glowing paint that the company used for the quills was radioactive. You know those surprise toys that you can find in specially marked boxes of cereal? It was like that, but the prize inside was cancer.
Yeah, I was actually the one who designed the original toy. I wasn't really sure how to make it at first, so I just got some old nails from my garage, covered them in waste from my local power plant, and they started to glow a weird blue color. I heard like 20 people got cancer from that on the first day alone, but Sega gave me $30 for the idea, so I'd say it's worth it.
Somehow, no one in the team got sued for this incident, but I honestly don't think anyone affected by it lasted long enough to file a lawsuit anyways. Once the game was released, it was able to sell a record-breaking 17 copies, not including the one I shoplifted from my local Walmart when I was 12. Though the large majority of the information revealed today has not been known by most of the Sonic fans, we do want to make sure anyone watching knows that we do have our reliable sources within our group. My dear friend, Sonic Fan 409 has been invited to provide reassurance that what we have said here today is true. And I think that's all we have time for today, so with that, I'd like to thank everyone who's helped work on this video, and remember, if you ever take a tag off a mattress, you will be getting gunned down. Okay, bye!